What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, another day without Concord. Concord failure. Yes. PS5 Pro launch, whatever that was, failure. Technical talkie talk failure. Check. And now, I mean, look, I've been all day. I'm looking at YouTube. I'm looking at the internets. And once again, I see no positive reviews, no positive rhetoric around the PlayStation 5 Pro. Even Luke Stevens, who seems to be, he seems to be a person with brain cells. He's like, nah, son, I'm not getting it. He's like, oh, if I do get one, I'll get it later when the price is lowered or whatever. I've heard so many people say that. I'll get it later. I don't need it. Who is this for? Blah, blah. All the things that like Porter Rock and all these ponies said about Concord, they're saying the same thing about this console. And now, if the performance of Concord is any indication, this console is in trouble. PS5 Pro is in trouble. Now, there are some people in chat. There are some people in the comments who are like, oh, it's going to dog walk the Xbox and all that stuff. And I'm like, and I hear the narrative of, oh, there's no competition. That's why Sony put the price up. I was like, listen, do not blame Sony. Do not blame anyone else except for Sony for putting that price up. You need to blame Sony for having a failure of a game in Concord and then subsequently having to up the price on everything else because they lost so much money on Concord. That was Sony, and then that was Sony again, and then that was Sony again. Not anybody else, just Sony. And Sony's gonna find out. They effed around. They're about to find out this fall, and nobody's buying that for $700. I mean, look, of course, there are gonna be some whales out there, some princes in Saudi Arabia who are gonna buy it. They can make a gold-plated one for $50,000. You know one of them princes is gonna buy it because it's only one that will buy it for my collection. I don't have a collection. I have a gold room. I buy everything gold. I'm just saying. But what I wanted to talk about today, I don't want to call them too many names. I already have kind of a wishy-washy view on Canadians. That's another story. But some Canadians I love. Ryan Reynolds. He's near the top of the list. Let's go. Michael J. Fox. Yes. It's plenty of Canadians that I like. Avril Lavigne, she's cool. I haven't been following her, but she's cool. Will Sasso, hell yeah. Let's go. So there are Canadians that make the list of people who are cool on this earth. And there's another list that we don't want to talk about. But this Canadian, Jeff Keighley, he got issues. He probably doesn't have issues. He probably has money issues, and Sony's like, here you go. And Jeff's like, oh boy, let me blow into your controller for you. He had to have gotten paid for that, because what grown man would do that? Have enough pride in yourself and in your content that you create. I guess he doesn't care. He's like, yo, you paying me? I'm doing it. Honestly, you know what? I don't know. Enough zeros on the back of a number, I might do some foolish stuff too. But I don't think I'll ever see that. Not really. I am kind of stubborn, so it's like, I don't want to do that. Not because I have morals or anything. I mean, I do, but it's more because I'd be like, that seems like a lot more work than I'm willing to. You know what I'm saying? Like some things I'm in. I'm like focused. 4 hours later, I'm like, what happened? Huh? Oh, But some things I'm like, nah, I'm going to go take a nap. That's how, because that don't sound like fun. Naps are fun. Anyway, Jeff Keighley proceeded to try to defend PlayStation and Sony. Their balls all up on his forehead, all on his... Anyway, he proceeded to post a list of the prices of PlayStation consoles throughout the decades, adjusted for inflation. It would have been fine if he would have done what he should have done, which is, console to console, equal terms, equal footing, equal, I don't know how you want to say it, but just equal product, let's just say. Like PlayStation 1 came with a disk drive. All of them did, right? Came with, didn't need a stand. PlayStation 2 came with a disk drive. I don't know if that came with a stand, but, people weren't really standing them up at that point, PlayStation 3 came with a disk drive. And you could just stand that bad boy. That was like a refrigerator. That was the George Foreman grill. I had one. I was like, wow, that's big. I had one and it was big, right? And I was like, wait, the PlayStation 5 is bigger than this? Shoot. But came with a disk drive. PlayStation 4. Boop. I don't know if it came with a stand. I think it did. But came with a disk drive. PlayStation 5, as ugly as it is, came in two versions. Had the disc and it had the disk drive version, right? And I think he did the disk drive version, if I'm not sure. But still, came with a disk drive. For this list, for these purposes, for this argument, came with a disk drive. PlayStation 5 Pro doesn't come with a disk drive. So how are you putting this in the list of comparison? And it's so easy to do the math and say, oh, well, we have to add the disk drive to make them equate the other consoles as far as value and product. But no, he doesn't do that. Look, I was going to chop it up to, hey, he's Canadian and math might not be his strong suit, but I didn't want to really insult the man because he may be good at math. Maybe he's just blinded by, you know how the horses, the ponies wear the things so they focus so they don't get distracted and scared. And kick somebody in the face like, psh. I don't know. The blinders. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can speculate. I can hypothesize about how, Sony's on his he's on Sony's payroll, basically. Him, IGN, all these outlets, all this media, most of the media is bought and paid for by Sony, right? That's my analysis, if you will. That's the only reason why he would put something so foolish up there. And he got community noted. They noted his. I'm like, and then I saw somebody posted like, yo, Jeff Keighley's been going crazy. PS5 Pro, PS5 Pro. I'm like, what are you doing? Huh? Is that necessary? Look, if the PS5 Pro was such a good product, right? And like, it was like, yo, I can't argue with it. It's good. Let's go. If it was that good, that's unnecessary because people just saw the presentation, saw the price, if it was a good price, and said, that's it. And then everybody on the internet and on Twitter, on YouTube, would be like, yes, it's go, let's go, let's get it, let's go, let's get it. But the reverse happened. The inverse happened. Everything that's being put out there is negative towards the PlayStation 5 Pro. There's only a few sprinkles here, but they're ponies. They're donkey unicorns. They're reading the script. You know what I'm saying? They're playing the role. And whether they believe they're nonsense or not is a whole nother story. Whatever. I don't know how Andy Kaufman they want to get with it. But I'm just saying, this behavior of, it feels, to me, it feels almost unfair. It's business, right? Look, Microsoft could do the same thing, but then I would feel funny about them because then that shows what type of leadership, what type of people work there, what type of company it is, where they're willing to do whatever it takes to win instead of actually doing the right thing by us customers, not buying off the media so they can say whatever they want, do whatever we want them, like Sony wants them to say in order to win. Meanwhile, it's anti-consumer. It has the possibility of being anti-consumer. This is anti-consumer. What Jeff Keighley is doing is anti-consumer. He's trying to say, oh, look at this, is so great. And everybody's looking at him like, no, $700, no. And I have to stop saying $700 because that's not how much it costs. It costs $810 in America before taxes, depending on your state, blah, blah, blah. But here in Florida, it's $6.25. I ain't gonna do the math, but that's more than $810. Like I wasn't oblivious, But I was kind of just like, all right, whatever. Jeff Keighley, he's harmless, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't pay attention to him. But like, this is a little too egregious because we see I saw Young Ye's video. I saw Asmongold's video reacting to Young Ye's video. And so I saw 2 in 1 basically. And Young Ye is kind of blue. He's kind of on PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? He's not an Xbox. He's not at all. And he was like, nah. He was like, Yakuza, nah. I was like, okay. And I'm like, I could do creator roulette, YouTube creator or internet creator, influencer roulette, and go and put a bunch of names and pick a name, and then go search out their video about the PS5 Pro, and about 99.99 of them will be negative because it was so bad. I watched the Digital Foundry joint. They were like, nah, this ain't how you do it. And that price, And I'm waiting to see. I want them to get their hands on one. I want to see what they do. They're going to tear it apart. They're going to see what's inside and stuff. And it's just really, I don't want to call it frustrating because it's not really frustrating, but it is. I just hope that Sony gets what they deserve, if that makes sense. You know, karma's a bee. And I think, like I said this in many videos and other videos, you know, the down slope of Sony, they've been past the peak a while ago. And it was just a slow decline. Well, like I said, they fell off a cliff with that. And like how many bad news stories can they have before people realize, oh, you know, I mean, is this the breaking point for some? I mean, every single influencer, even all the ponies, and they were laughing. They're laughing at Sony. That's not something that you want. But here's what I realized, right? I'm watching all these influencers. I'm looking on Twitter. I'm looking at on YouTube and stuff, and I'm seeing what's going on. I'm like, all right, well, you know, a lot of people don't like it. Well, whatever. It's trending or whatever, right? But then I think about the shareholders. I think about the numbers. I think about the business side, right? And this is what Sony's doing. They're like, yo, we need to make some money. We got to shrink these margins, blah, 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 right? We lost money on Concord. We're going to raise the prices on this. We're going to raise the price on that. We're going to make this ridiculous and too much money. Yeah, so Jeff Keighley, this whole propping up PlayStation and propping up Sony, you know, they're money-hatting people now. And so I don't know how, because before, like, you know, during the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo and all that stuff, Sega Master System, NES, that was a little different. But there wasn't this. There were media, like, it was mainly magazines, and it was like, well, I forgot what his name was. There was like columnists, and basically it was just a bunch of writers who, you know, went under a pseudonym and stuff. But you know, that's all we had. We didn't have like I mean, I guess Electric Playground was the closest thing with Vic and Tommy Tallarico. That was the closest thing to like a personality. And then G4 came around. And they had those, you know, Olivia Munn. Not really, because she was just a pretty face. And Kevin Pereira. But nothing like this, because Jeff Keighley's kind of been around, like in the background through the years. But this is different because he's commanding a more of a he has a command on a greater audience now, because he has the Game Awards, because he has whatever is Opening Night Live, or all those things, right? And that's cool for him. I'm glad he's doing some successful things, but the fact that he's in the pocket of Sony is troubling, because it diminishes the credibility of his product, his shows. We can't look at him and say, oh, he's going to be fair to Xbox, or he's going to be fair to Nintendo. We know he's going to be extra fair to PlayStation. Because, I mean, and he's going to hate Konami. Because Konami did his boy wrong. You know? And so, I don't know if it's something that Microsoft needs to come out of pocket, but I feel for Microsoft in that, like, look, they got money, right? They got money. They can do stuff. But it's not about the money. It's the principalities, Smokey. And if you're sitting here and say, oh, you're the richest company, the $3 trillion, whatever, pay me. It's like, but you're treating us different. You know, you're not. It's not equal playing field. That's my problem. It's not an equal playing field when it comes to Sony versus Microsoft in the media, in Jeff Keighley's world, if you will. And you know, business is a B, and the more that I see it happening, you know, I mean, you know, I've been around a while. I've seen it happen for years and years, but like now, like looking now at what's going on in the industry, the more that I see it happening, the more I go back and think about Matt Booty's statement in that email exchange or whatever, saying we gonna spend Sony out of business. And I'm like, at first I was like, damn, that's kind of oof. You know, I don't want him to be like that. He shouldn't be like that. I want him to be nice and be fair and stuff. And then I'm looking at what's going on and I'm like, nah, do what Matt says, because Mr. Booty knows what's up. Mr. Booty sitting here looking at all the stuff that we're seeing, all this money hatting, all this BS that Sony's pulling, you know, anti-customer. You know, if Sony left the industry today, no more PlayStation, no more PlayStation exclusives, no more Sony games, blah, 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 would that really be a loss? Think about it, right? God of War. It's like, oh, okay. And here's the thing, right? Imagine Sony, we're not doing consoles anymore. We're gone, closing down PlayStation, blah, 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 right? They're just doing movies and anime, whatever, right? They still own the IPs. So they could do a Disney and they'd be like, yo, hey, Microsoft, you want to make a God of War movie? I mean, you want to make a God of War game? Go ahead. Pay us a little of the royalties. Boom, boom, boom. They could do that. I mean, that is a possibility in the future since they're doing so bad right now. And people keep saying, oh, Apple's going to buy PlayStation, or, well, they say Apple's going to buy Sony. I'm like, slow down. They'll probably break off PlayStation before they sell the whole. That doesn't make any sense, because Sony makes the chip. They make the imaging chips for all the cameras, all the camera phones, most of the cameras, I would say. But you know, they're like, they kind of have a monopoly in that region, in that area of business. And they have their movies, they have their music and the anime and stuff. So they have more things. And when you look at it that way, you can say, well, PlayStation's been losing them money. You know, they lost a couple of $100 billion off of Concord. They're going to lose some money off of this PlayStation 5 Pro, maybe, depending on how many they sell. I mean, I'm assuming they're selling them not at a loss, but I don't know how much profit they're making off of, and I don't know how much their initial, I mean, they said they want to sell 1.3 million units. In the beginning of the launch, right? And I'm like, okay, I think that's just shy of the PlayStation 4 Pro's launch. And I'm like, okay, so that means you're gonna make 1.3 million, or what does that mean? You know? And so I would assume, or maybe they're making 2 million and we'll see what happens. But the point is, it's price prohibitive. Are there a million people out there willing to spend $700 on that console? And like I said, every influencer, every person that I've heard speak on it says it's not worth the money. You see the difference. You could squint your eyes and like, I couldn't really tell the difference. And so I saw the frame rate difference on The Last of Us. I was like, yeah, sure, okay. And then the main problem with the price is that the CPU is the same. It's the same. They say, oh, 10% increase. I'm like, even D-Batch, I don't really like D-Batch. He knows stuff, but to me, he sounds conceited, basically. Sounds like he knows everything. And I'm like, look, you know stuff about PC. This ain't a PC. This is a console. Consoles are different, and he knows that, but he's acting like it's not. And I'm like, you know it's different. And so compute is compute, and honestly, consoles work in such a different way that they are more efficient than computers, because one is the APU, so the GPU and the CPU are on one chip together, so the time it takes for the compute to go back and forth is shorter from a graphics card here and the CPU here. It's just it's just physics, basically. You know, it's a longer distance, so it's going to take longer latency, blah blah blah. Plus, the throughput is faster on these consoles now. Actually, I don't know what they are on PCs, and that's something I would like to kind of see. Like, I bet you Steve at whatchamacallit does all that stuff, and he says he packs so many freaking facts and just knowledge in every word sentence that he says that I'm like, I think I'm getting smarter just by listening to this guy. But gamer tech, I forgot what their freaking website's called. Wow, that's dumb. I mean, that's dumb. But anyway, the D-Batch just kind of annoys me when he does that. Like, sometimes he's like, okay, he's all right or whatever, and you know, he's level-headed and stuff, but he gets on this thing about, you know, and he's filleting Sony too. He's filleting the PlayStation too. I'm like, what? Really? 7? And you know, he's as bad as these other people who are comparing the price to PC components. You can't build a PC for $700 that's comparable to the PlayStation 5 Pro's performance. And I'm like, how do you know? Because you haven't seen it yet. There's no benchmarks. All you've seen is PlayStation do their stuff and give you some goofy little video that don't look like it's doing that much. Not exactly $700 worth. And that's the main problem. They showed us the stuff and it was like, you see it, and Mark Sony sitting there trying to sweet talk you. You see how beautiful the graphics are? And and we're doing the power, and the devs wanted the power, we're gonna give them the power. Okay, he ain't even that sassy. Anyway, I'm rambling. I appreciate y'all hanging out and listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. I checked it today with exactly 1,200 subs. I was like, oh, that's a nice round number. It was great. I appreciate y'all for real. I'm gonna go home today and I'm gonna work on the Musica. It's definitely gonna be done this month. I gotta do some mixing, some masterings and stuff. The video portion of it is done, as much as I'm gonna do, because I'm trying to keep that kind of short and concise and just easy to do. So that's gonna be there. It is more of a lyric video, but you know, there's some video elements to it. But anyway. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think about Jeff Keighley's asininity. I don't know how to say that in adjectivity. Whatever words. So let me know if I didn't even read the community note that they slapped on Jeff Keighley, but whatever. I'm just like, this is ridiculous. But you know, this is what we have to go through for now. My main thing is, like, I hope that PlayStation maintains that price nice and high so that they can make whatever money they're gonna make. They need it. You know, I don't want them to go out of business, but at the same time, they are on a high pedestal that is cracking at the foundation and crumbling before our eyes, and they're about to topple over. And I want to see what Microsoft does in response. Like, they said they're coming out with new consoles. They said the rumor is they're gonna have a handheld and the most powerful blah 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 console, says Queen Sarabon. So that's gonna be it. What they come out with to counteract this PlayStation 5 Pro is gonna be interesting. And the fact that I don't think the PlayStation 5 Pro is gonna really do that much to sway the majority of the audience into like looking at Sony any different than they already do. You know, it's like, oh, they're better now. It's like, no, look what they're trying to do. Anyway, I'm sorry. Appreciate, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Tilt the weight.